Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're talking with Dean Bartles. Dean is the president and CEO of MTDG. How you doing, Dean?
Doing very well, sir. Thank you very much.
That's great. So MTDG is a business that's committed to transforming the advanced manufacturing industrial base throughout the world. And Dean will tell us, I'm sure, a lot more about what they're up to. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about your background and your career today.
Sure. So I started my career in the defense industry. Right out of college, I was able to secure a position at Fairchild Republic Company in my hometown of Hagerstown, Maryland. They were manufacturing the A-10 airplane, and I spent a bit of time in industrial engineering there and then moved into the program management field. From there, I moved on to a company that became a General Dynamics Corporation and was with them for about 31 years. I was hired to set up some manufacturing lines in Egypt and Turkey, and then went on to become the vice president of marketing for a while, and eventually running one of the business units there that made large caliber ammunition for the Defense Department, mainly like tank ammunition, artillery ammunition, et cetera. So after a 31-year career there, I decided that it was time to do something that was, more interesting to me. I love this field of advanced manufacturing technology. I was recruited by a small, brand new startup, not-for-profit in Chicago called UI Labs, and they were going after one of the 15 or so now manufacturing innovation institutes that started under the Obama administration. The very first one of these manufacturing innovation institutes, in fact, was won by the company that I now head. Actually, it's called the National Center for Defense Manufacturing and Machining, which is one of my subsidiaries now. But that institute is focused on additive manufacturing that I'll talk a little bit more about. But the one in Chicago that I stood up is called the Digital Manufacturing and Design Innovation Institute. So I was there for about 2.5 years and was able to, design and set up the institute. Recruited over 300 members. It's still going very well today. They now call it MXD instead of the MDII, but it's still the same institute and doing very, very well. From there, I moved on and helped out the American Society of Mechanical Engineers for about 6 months in New York City. They asked me to come and help them with their strategy. I then was able to help out the University of New Hampshire for about 14 months. They had received a $5 million gift to set up a new advanced manufacturing center there. They called me and asked me to come up. I designed that and had it commissioned and turned it over to them. And then I led the National Tooling and Machining Association for about 8 months before the board of NCDMM asked me if I would take over this organization. This former CEO was retiring. So I've been here a little over 2 years. I formed this new parent company that I call the Manufacturing Technology Deployment Group. So I've got NCDMM as our primary subsidiary, but I also formed another not-for-profit that I call Advanced Manufacturing International. The small not-for-profit is run by Stefan Biller. They're focused on helping small and medium manufacturers with their journey towards Industry 4.0, smart manufacturing, that kind of thing. So it's been a great last 7 years that I've been in this not-for-profit world. I served on lots of not-for-profit boards during my career. I was the president of the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. I was the president of the North American Manufacturing Research Institute. Also, the Smart Manufacturing Leadership Coalition. I was the founding chairman of, which now I actually acquired them. I guess in the not-for-profit world we say affiliate, but they're now part of my organization as well. So it's been a great couple of years since I started this new position.
Yeah.
We're growing. We did about $27 million in 2019. Our fiscal year ending September 30th, 2020, we did about $33 million. This year, we're targeting about $44 million. So we're growing. We're doing a lot of great things to help not only small, medium manufacturers, but also to help the warfighter. We do a lot of work for the Department of Defense in helping them with advanced manufacturing challenges.
Yeah, I can imagine, right now, especially with a lot of the infrastructure discussions I know that they've had in Washington, that manufacturing is probably first and foremost in terms of probably getting those types of jobs boosted and back and growing. in the U.S. And so really what you guys are doing, MTDG, seems quite critical. So tell me a little bit more about kind of like the types of businesses that the type of work that MTDG is doing specifically right now.
So one of the primary programs we run, we branded it America Makes, and it's the National Additive Manufacturing Innovation Institute. We have over 200 members. It's a public-private partnership with the Air Force. We receive a certain amount of money each year from the Air Force that is used to offer up research opportunities to members. So the members primarily consist of small, medium-sized companies, large corporations, like General Electric, for example, is a big member. We also have a lot of academic institutions that are members. So the membership basically decides what research is going to get done. So we developed a technology roadmap to determine, okay, here's where the technology lies today in this field of additive manufacturing, also called 3D printing. But here's where we expect it to be in the next 10 years, and what can we do in the area of sponsoring research to help, achieve those goals of the future for additive manufacturing. It's a very, very exciting field. Most people, they hear the term 3D printing, and they think of, the plastic stuff that's been around for a really long time, stereolithography, for example, and it was great for prototyping. But now with metal additive manufacturing, production parts are becoming more and more adopted. It's an amazing technology where you start with metal dust and you hit it with a laser, and you can design and form pretty much any shape that your mind can imagine. So it's a very exciting field. We still have a long way to go. Lots of new standards have to be developed. We've got to make sure that the parts that are being produced in the metal additive manufacturing field have a high level of confidence by the user. So we're working on all, in situ monitoring and adaptive control technology, things that will really help this industry grow even faster. So that's one of our biggest programs. But like I said, we also have things that we're helping the small mediums begin their journey with Industry 4.0. And Industry 4.0 is all about connectivity, right? You want to have data streaming off of each of the machines on the shop floor. How can you use that data? How do you get that data to begin with? So we've partnered with a couple of alliance partners that have some very interesting low cost and types of technology that we can add a box onto a machine and be able to collect all kinds of data off of that process without machines running, stream that data to a cloud server, and be able to do some predictive analytics and be able to tell that shop, hey, here's some vibration that's different, here's some heat that's different, and maybe even be able to predict when a part's going to fail before it fails, so they can change out that part of that machine on maybe the weekend shift instead of interrupting first shift production, which is so valuable. So the small mediums are a little bit more slow to adopt some of these new technologies. The large guys, of course, they have the money to do it. They've been working on this for a number of years now. And what I hear from these large corporations is they want supplier transparency. They want to know where their parts are in the production process real time. And to do that, the small guys that are typically their tier 1, 2, 3 suppliers, they're going to have to also get on this train and add these sensor technologies and these types of devices that will allow those OEMs to be able to understand where their parts are in the process, and maybe even get to the point where from machine to machine, as those parts are being produced, we'll know the quality of the part coming off of one machine before it goes into the next machine, be able to compensate for any kind of drift that might have taken place in that process, and be able to, have that second machine automatically know, hey, I'm getting a part that maybe not exactly what I thought, but I can compensate for that and still give you a good part. So
I know that during the last year, certainly the supply chain issues have been immense in terms of literally, obviously, being massive shortages in specific areas, and I know that we're certainly not caught up yet in terms of that process. But I think what you're talking about, which is almost like almost a smart supply chain, right, where it learns and can maybe adjust and edit is incredible. I've been so impressed on the 3D printing. I was an early hobbyist in the 3D printing space, and I think I pretty much just entertained my kids by printing various little toys around the house and things like that, and that kind of rough plastic. But now I've been amazed at the usages of it for of dwellings, building houses. That technology is phenomenal. And
Well,
quite useful. Yeah.
yeah, even more than that, Ben. I mean, yeah, 3D printing a house, with the cement is really cool, especially when you watch these YouTube videos to see one being built. But what's really, really amazing to me is they're 3D printing human organs now. So there's an institute that's part of the Manufacturing Innovation USA program. There's an institute in New Hampshire that is focused on that technology. So they've already demonstrated they can do it in a lab. Now the question is, how do you ramp that up and be able to do it in higher volume production? So it's still a long journey ahead, but the technology is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this past year. I imagine the manufacturing base and partners, as well as the companies associated with you guys, have had probably a bit of a bumpy road at times. Probably some have excelled. I'd just be curious to hear how your group basically participated, maybe even in the solutions of some of the problems that we had.
Well, absolutely. The American Makes Institute was really on the cutting edge of figuring out solutions for some of the needs during the pandemic, whether it was, parts for ventilators or masks or whatever. The 3D printing community really came in and gathered around and figured out ways to get stuff done. There's several reports out there about the success of that rapid response program. But one of the things that I think the pandemic has showed manufacturers is they really need to rethink their offshoring. Because we were very fortunate here in the United States to respond as quickly as we were able to, and not really have a huge impact on the manufacturing sector that much. But in other countries, the suppliers that they were relying on. Anyway, what I think a lot of companies have learned is, we need to rethink this whole offshoring thing, and we need to figure out ways to bring that back into the United States, because here in the United States, we're very fortunate. We have, access to modern science that a lot of countries don't have, and we were able to really, pull together and get things done a lot faster than some of the other countries. So the biggest impacts to manufacturing here in the United States was the availability of parts that they were used to buying offshore. So I believe you're gonna see a lot of that work coming back to the U.S., which is great, of course, for workers in this country.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I think it's almost kind of like making, shoring up that supply chain. So you have a bit of a mix probably of international as well as local, which it's shocking that it didn't exist in the first place. And I'm glad that we're seeing that type of adjustment happening. So tell me, when you look at the manufacturing space right now in the country, what are the challenges that you see that we need to be tackling, and what are the things that you're really excited about that are happening?
Well, one of the things that we are still working on is coming up with a standard that allows all the machine tools on the shop floors to sort of speak in one common language. This is kind of reminds me of the computer industry back in the day, when if you wanted to hook up a printer or even a mouse, I mean, it was quite a challenge, right? Until they standardized on USB and Bluetooth. And now it's just
a funny story. I set up a middleware software business with a group of friends of mine. You'll probably remember this. There was a time when if you wanted to send a mobile message from one mobile carrier to the other, you couldn't do that, right? And
right.
so we literally built the middleware piece there. So you're absolutely right. Getting systems to talk to one another was absolutely critical.
Well, the good news is that the Association for Manufacturing Technology, led by my good friend Doug Woods, they had the vision to recognize that, because they represent all the machine tool builders pretty much in the United States and some outside the United States. And they recognized how big of a problem this was. You want to connect a bar feeder to a lathe, and they don't talk to each other, right? You got to write a separate API. So they came up with this standard they call MT Connect. And MT Connect has really progressed so well over the last 10 years, but we still have a ways to go. We're still working on sections of the standard for different, parts of different processes, but it's really coming along, and more machine tool builders are adopting the MT Connect standard. And that's been a huge challenge for, like I said, the last 10 years, but we're really starting to make some headway. So that's one big challenge. The other big challenge, as I said, The large corporations have embraced manufacturing 4.0, industry 4.0, as the Germans call it, smart manufacturing, pick your buzzword. But the small mediums have been sort of the laggards, right? They're really slow to adopt this technology. And we've got to get the small mediums to embrace this technology in order to have the overall manufacturing system here in the United States be more efficient and be able to compete globally. So that's the challenge of my new subsidiary that I call Advanced Manufacturing National. We're not for profit. We're not in this to make money, right?
Is it a issue related to just cost for those guys? I mean, is it just so hard to retool?
Well, it is in the sense that if they were to follow the lead of the large guys and they were to work with some of the really large corporations that the large guys use, it's very expensive, right? I mean, if you wanted to have Siemens come in and take over your manufacturing shop and deploy it with sensors and the software that are needed to do all these things, you're looking at $1 million plus, right? And the large guys can afford that. And of course, Siemens, you're going to get first class stuff, but the small guys can't afford that. So we have found a small company that has come up with a way to do this for a few $1,000s. Now, the other challenge that everyone's very familiar with, and if you're reading the news at all, is cybersecurity. So, if you're going to hook up machine tools that are going to stream data to the cloud and you're going to do predictive analytics that will report back to the machine, everyone's a little concerned about cybersecurity. The Defense Department is so concerned that they've now come out with a new policy that they call the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. And anyone that's doing business for the Department of Defense, whether you're a prime contractor or a tier 1, 2, 3 supplier, you're going to have to be certified that you are compliant with these new standards. And everyone's going to have to do it. Well, okay, it's one thing to say, yes, I've got all the protocols in place and all the precautions and all the stuff that I need to protect my computers in the office. But now what about all those machines out on the shop floor that might be connected to the internet? So these technologies are what AMI is focused on, and they're going to help the small mediums be able to do this at a very, very affordable cost. We've partnered with an alliance partner called StrongKey, and they've got encryption and tokenization technology that's used in the credit card industry. So it's very, very secure, and we're able to offer that level of technology, which absolutely exceeds any requirement the Department of Defense is rolling out for a very modest cost. For about $1,000, we can install a box that will make sure all those machines are protected. So that's a big concern area in manufacturing.
Yeah, this cybersecurity thing is going to be something that will just be a challenge. I think that we're all going to have to face for the rest of our lives, for sure. And it will continue to evolve. I mean, what happened with, I think it was Colonial, that whole kind of issue they had with the cybersecurity threat was huge. And I can only imagine when you have smart machines involved, the risks are tremendous.
Well, everyone's familiar with Stuxnet, right? So, and look how long ago that happened, right? So, somebody, I'm not going to say who, but somebody was able to infect the centrifuges that I ran to have them spin out of control and destroy themselves. I mean, that's pretty scary, right? So that kind of technology is out there now, and people are very concerned about their machines getting hacked, not only possibly destroying the machine, but I can give you an example where a professor at the University of Virginia, or Virginia Tech, it might have been, I think it was Virginia Tech, they did an experiment with their students. They had them all write a little program to produce a 3D printed part. They handed in their thumb drives to the professor for evaluation. He had a graduate student take the code and add just one little extra line of code that caused it to create a defect in the part that you could not see by the human eye. Only one student caught it by watching the 3D printer the entire time it was printing, saw this little defect be developed and then covered up, right? So that's the kind of stuff you're concerned about, right? We got to make sure that these machines on the shop floors everywhere and all manufacturing plants are extremely cyber secure. So what a lot of people do is they say, okay, we'll just air gap our shop. We're not going to have any of our machines connected. Well, that defeats the whole purpose of Industry 4.0. So we've got to find that middle ground where everyone feels secure enough with the technology that they can still stream all the data to the cloud and do the predictive analytics and let the customers know where their parts are in real time.
So Dean, I mean, one of the questions I have is, and we talk a lot about this obviously on the show, is just education and where we are in terms of the talent that we have in the U.S. The reality is that the country let that manufacturing base slip for a long, long time. And we're starting to see it really build back. Obviously, organizations like yours are absolutely critical in that rebuilding process. But how do you feel about the talent base that we have and the individuals we have coming up and what's evolving in that space?
So a couple things. First of all, hats off to President Obama and his administration to start this Manufacturing USA network. So, every single one of the institutes, I think there's 16 or 17 now, and there's bills currently going through Congress that look pretty good. That there's going to be additional funding to do a couple of more each year for the next couple of years. Every one of these institutes are not only focused on maturing technology beyond the technology readiness levels of 1 through 3. Their focus is 5 through 7, that middle, missing valley of death they call it. But they're maturing technology, but they're also a heavy emphasis on workforce development, education, and training. So every one of these institutes is helping companies with the training of their current workforce, as well as potential new employees coming out of college, and even sometimes coming out of high school with some of the training to get them ready to do the kinds of work that's going to be needed to be done with these new advanced technologies. So that's one area. Another area, hats off to the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, which goes by SME now. I mean, they've got Tooling U. I mean, Tooling U has really grown, and there's so many courses you can take online to learn how to do some of the jobs that are required in manufacturing today. And they've got courses on some of the advanced technologies, as well as some of the other technologies that are still, as being used. Like, 85 to 90% of the machine tools out there on the shop floors in this country are legacy machine tools. They don't have all this capability to stream data to the cloud unless they add a box like AMI is trying to offer. Also, there's another association called the Association for Technology Management and Applied Engineering. And those are colleges that are focused on students that are going to be graduating ready to enter the workforce in a manufacturing environment. As one, construction and graphics and other things, but the people entering manufacturing jobs that come out of these ATME accredited institutions, they've got hours and hours of experience of working on machine tools during their curriculum, and they're ready to take frontline supervisor jobs as soon as they graduate. So it's organizations like that are really helping with the challenges of workforce development, education, and training, and how to prepare students in the future.
It sounds to me that the manufacturing space could be a good place for people to consider for the next gen of jobs.
We're still Ben, we're still struggling with the concept of manufacturing is dark, dirty, dangerous, that kind of thing. I just wish we could get a better job of educating the people in this country that's the old manufacturing. The new manufacturing is really exciting. It's challenging. It's mentally stimulating, and it's the kind of work that I believe this next generation coming up would be excited about if they just knew about it. So that's part of our challenge, is to educate people. Get the word out there that the new manufacturing is pretty exciting.
Well, I think, Dean, what you were talking about, which are some of the key things that are happening today in terms of 3D printing. That is unbelievably interesting and exciting. And you can imagine how that could be applied in a million different ways. How do you see things evolving in some of these spaces over the next couple of years?
So I think you're going to see more and more technology coming out that'll be, user ready, right? So the institutes are, like I said, they're focused on maturing these technologies beyond the 1 through 3 level. The Department of Defense calls it the technology readiness level, right? That's 1 through 10. And that 4, 5, 6, 7 is where the institutes focus on. And so when they mature these technologies and get them out there to the commercialization phase, the 8, 9, and 10 phase, every institute's focused on this. So all these new advanced manufacturing technologies are getting through what used to be called the valley of death, right? The missing middle. And they're pushing them out there for companies to commercialize. None of the institutes will own this technology. The companies that are the members are driving that, and we're just helping to facilitate that. And the U.S. government is putting up literally over $1 billion so far to help push these technologies out there into the marketplace and have companies to adopt them. So I think you're going to see more and more companies adopting the advanced manufacturing technologies, the connectivity, all of it, right? And artificial intelligence and machine learning is another area that you keep an eye on. That right now there's software out there that will generate designs that you couldn't think of yourself, right? It's it's generative design, literally. That the software, you give it the parameters of the size and the strength of the different areas of the part, and it'll come up with all of these different alternatives for you. So that kind of technology is just so exciting, and it's here, it's today.
Yeah.
We just got to get more people aware that
I can
those
see
are the
that.
kinds of things that are available today.
I think, Dean, it's what a great conversation we've been having. It's amazing to see some of these technologies and how they're being applied as almost kind of almost an early stage right now, but really kind of I get a sense of the resources, the capabilities that you're talking about being applied to these spaces are going to offer us to scale this stuff, roll it out, build kind of a stronger base. And I share your concern on small to medium sized businesses and making sure that they have access to the right resources. And so, kudos to you guys to obviously support that effort. We've been speaking with Dean Bartles. He's the president and CEO of MTDG. That's the Manufacturing Technology Deployment Group. It's a group committed to transforming the advanced manufacturing industrial base throughout the world. Dean has been sharing with us such a wide range of incredible breakthroughs that are happening in terms of 3D printing, smart supply chains, and many, many more activities. I'm very, very pleased to see how you guys are evolving. If someone wanted to learn more about what you guys are working on, Dean, where should they go?
So if you Google MTDG, that'll bring you right to the website. And from that website, there's connections right there on the front page to NCDMM and to AMI. And of course, America Makes. If you want to become a member of the Institute, the way this membership model works is you can satisfy the annual cost just by being involved. You get credit for participating. You get credit for attending the meetings. And most of our tier 1 members, the lower memberships, that they can satisfy their annual membership fee just by being involved. And that's what we want. We want the small companies to have the opportunity to be at the table with the big boys and understand what the challenges are and be able to find solutions for those challenges. So we welcome everyone.
That's great. Well, listen, Dean, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today. And I look forward to talking to you again soon on how things are evolving.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.